I don't know if you can tell, but I like Batman. So let's talk about the latest trailer from DC Fandome for the Batman. Not my best mask, but if it's cheap, it's cheap. There you go. So, the Batman trailer. We need to go back. We need to go back to the first teaser trailer. It came out in 2020, and it blew my mind. And keep in mind, this was not the first time I had seen anything involving this new movie. When I first found out it was going to be starring Robert Pattinson, I immediately got nervous because right away, we all thought about the Twilight movies. And then I started learning a little bit more about the actor and come to realize he's an extremely talented actor with a plethora of range. And if you don't believe me, watch The Lighthouse. I mean, this guy put on a performance. I mean, it's hard to outdo William Dafoe because he was the other co-star. But this kind of is just an example of many things that he is in. The guy has range, and even he has gone on to say, like, the Twilight movies should not represent what he is and what he's capable of doing. So, that was a little bit of a warning sign. When they were leaked still shots of the Batsuit, was extremely nervous because it looked really bad. I mean, the early ones, it looked like it looked like a costume that was put together for that one scene in The Dark Knight. You know, the one guy where he's like, what makes you any different than us? And Bruce Wayne is all like, I'm not wearing hockey pads. Those were hockey pads. But I think it was just like an early concept or something they were doing. Just, I don't know. I don't know. But then we got our first, like, still shot of him in like the black and the red light. And it looked awesome. And then we got the trailer, which blew my mind. Please. I haven't been that excited for a Batman movie since The Dark Knight Rises. And yes, I hold that movie pretty high. I don't care what anyone says. I know there's a lot of weird things that happen in that movie. But the Batman trailer from DC Fandome from 2020, that was awesome. It got me so excited. Just everything about it hit every note that I love with Batman. And then there was news that members of the cast had gotten COVID, and then production had slowed down, and it was getting delayed. Everyone thought it was a 2021 release. Turns out it's going to be releasing this year in March 4th, in fact. Come to find that out from the most recent trailer, which came out Saturday 16th. And I gotta say, I like this trailer. I really do. And it's not bad. It's different. And I think it's because a lot of people are confusing what this trailer is supposed to be. See, the first trailer we got, that was the hype trailer. Like, that was the one like, oh, okay, so this is the new Batman. This is what he can do. We're vaguely getting the villain a little bit more. So we're getting a lot of action scenes. It's very condensed. It's very tense. This one is it's definitely longer. We're getting more scenes involving the Riddler. We're definitely getting more scenes involving Catwoman. We're pretty much getting more of everything. More of the Penguin, too, which I do appreciate. Because, you know, not people know that's Colin Farrell underneath all that makeup. They did a phenomenal job. So let's talk about that one and why I think a lot of people are not giving it the love it deserves. First of all, this trailer is not designed at all to be the shock and grab trailer. That's the first one. That was the first one. No questions asked. This is the one to solidify. This is what's going on. These are the characters that are in play. And the stakes, we do not know yet. Also understand a couple things, too, that need to be pointed out. This clearly is this is a somewhat early origin story of the character, I believe, based on based on the design of the Batmobile, which it looks very early in design. It just looks like a souped up beast of a car. It looks cool too, I'm not gonna lie. The Batcave really isn't much of a Batcave. It's more of, it's just like, it feels like an abandoned underground, like an abandoned underground, like, tunnel system with, like, a central hub. It doesn't have that Batcave feel just yet. There's some other little hints in there that note that, like, it might be somewhat early, because while you did see in the first trailer Batman was there with Commissioner Gordon and the cops, there was also scenes where he was fighting potentially some of them in some way, so I have a feeling that might be very early in their relationship of them working together, because in the very beginning, they did not get along at all. They didn't understand him, and he wanted to do things on his own. So, that out of the way. This is just a standard trailer. And I will say, I like this a heck of a lot more than the Eternals one, because the Eternals one, that one did not get me as excited. Keep in mind, probably still going to go and watch it. And I don't like, in Eternals, how whatever Eternal Angelina Jolie is playing, they should have just called that movie that based on the trailer. That was the majority of her, basically. It's like, here you go, here's the hot one right there for everyone to watch, and whatever. That's not to say that it's gonna be a bad movie or she's a bad character, but, like, it's about the Eternals, and you're showcasing 3 of them. There's a group of what? There's a group of at least half dozen to 10. And I was excited because after watching Train to Busan, I come to find out that one of the guys in that movie who I really liked, he was playing Gilgamesh in this movie, and he had like 3 scenes in the trailer. But no, we have to dedicate a scene to the one Eternal, Angelina Jolie's character, using her powers to spear of fruit, so we can have a punchline later about her losing her babysitting privileges. And there's a throwaway line in the trailer, which I was like, no. When they were talking about why didn't you get involved with what was going on with Thanos, and it was pretty much answered off screen, like, well, there's certain things we can't meddle in, and I'm like, no, no, that would have been a situation where have the question in there, but just don't answer it right off the bat. Let us get into it. Let us feel the weight of that conversation. Like, why weren't you there? Because, like, we were, for a year, everyone was like, what's going on? What do we do? But I think the Batman trailer was better than that. Let's get back to brass tacks here. I like this trailer a lot. I still got me hyped. It gave us the release date, which is going to be March 4th of 2022. We got to see more of the Riddler, although you did not see his face yet. You saw, like, the side of his head as he was getting arrested. You did not see his face. There was a couple scenes involving Batman, including an interrogation scene where, like, he punches the glass and screams, and I'm like, what did you do? And I'm like, that one's a little weird. I wasn't really feeling that, because I think that's also proof that this is still taking place early in the era of Batman, because Batman is a hell of a lot more composed than hitting walls and windows. I mean, even in The Dark Knight, I mean, this is still, like, keep in mind, it hasn't been that long in The Dark Knight, the Christian Bale movie, where he's been, like, doing his thing in Gotham. And even that point, like, that's when he was, like, throwing Joker around the interrogation room. Batman's a lot more than that. He's I want to say a mastermind when it comes to the art of intimidation. And we're learning in this one, no, this is solely, he says it himself, the symbol, the bat symbol is not a signal, it's a warning. He's very visceral, he's very physical, he's full of, like, vengeance. This is a Batman with an axe to grind with the people that he feels are destroying his city. And that's why I feel like that's where we are in that timeline of things. You have the Penguin, who there's a scene in the trailer where he's like, calm down, sweetheart. He's like, no, he still thinks that the criminals own this city. It's not at that point yet. You got even further proof. The first trailer when he's beating the living crap out of that guy. Everyone's like, who are you? How would you not know had he had been there for a while? That's why I think this has got to be a very close to an origin story. Very close. And I know they said that there is, but I still hear people saying, well, this takes place later on. No, this is early. Sorry. If you think this is something that takes place later on, you don't read the comics, you don't know. I have not read every single one of the Batman comics. There are many iterations of Batman. I will gladly sit down and read them, but I can tell you right now, based on words being used, based on reactions to him, earlier stuff. So, back to the second trailer. The things I didn't like. There were a lot of scenes involving Catwoman in this trailer. We did not need all of them. Now, I will also go on to say that I think that Zoe Kravitz, I believe is her name, I think she might be the best Catwoman of the bunch. There's just something about her, like, the way that she talks, the way that she moves, it's very reminiscent of the character in the comics. She's very smooth, she's very fluent, she's very seductive, not so much as like in a sexual way, but like in everything that she does, because everything to her is a game or a con. And I like that. I didn't like Anne Hathaway's version in The Dark Knight Rises. I felt like that was such a throwaway thing. And I'm just going to say this right now. I'm not a fan of her in general. There's not much that she has done that I've actually enjoyed. I think with experience, she's... In Dark Knight Rises, she just was like, yeah, I guess I'm Catwoman, so here I am kicking major butt, and I just happen to know things because I'm Anne Hathaway in this movie, and... I'm also extremely difficult to work with. No, I wasn't feeling her in that movie, and just from the lines that she spoke, the outfit was... No, you can't just put on, like... You can't just put on, like, the hairband that holds the goggles that has the ear. No. At least in this one, when she was wearing, like, the ski mask... It had the small, like, pin-up sides that look like, little ears. And I was like, okay, that's a cute little touch. But there were a lot of scenes of her in this trailer with Batman talking about, like, oh, well, who are you under this mask? And alluding to the kind of relationship they're going to have in this movie, where I think it's basically just going to be, help me out, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, versus... I do things alone, I'm the bat. Which I will also say, he probably sounds like one of the better Batman as well. And that's one of the things I liked about Ben Affleck's Batman, was he had like a voice changing, module, which it sounded kind of robotic, and I like that, because if we're taking a more realistic approach as to looking at Batman, he should be doing everything he can to mask his voice. I couldn't stand Christian Bale as Batman. The growling, talking super heavy like we're going through 3 packs a day was extremely annoying. Good Bruce Wayne, not the best Batman. I couldn't stand George Clooney as Batman because I felt like it was George Clooney playing Batman, and Bruce Wayne, I guess, kind of flows into that because it's supposed to. That's the facade. He's supposed to be the playboy millionaire. Val Kilmer, I felt, did an okay job, even though, like, the mopiness of it was just a sadder Bruce Wayne, because you realize he's alone. 1 or 2 scenes there, that goofy smile. And then there's Keaton, which is, like, in the top 3. But Pattinson, it was a natural voice, and it works. He wasn't growling, it was a little grovelly, and I like that. As far as, like, everything else, like, I think it's hard to top the first trailer, because the first one made a statement. This is just, like further expanding on it more. This is, like, the DLC of the first one. So, with that said, good trailer. Sets the stakes a little bit. We see a little bit more of the Batman. We see a lot more of the Batmobile and the Penguin. We don't see too much of Commissioner Gordon, which, sucks, because I'm actually looking forward to this iteration. I like Gary Oldman. I thought he did a fantastic job, but it's nice. It's just nice to see someone new in the seat from an also really talented actor point of view. I'm excited to see the new Catwoman. I cannot wait to see Paul Dano as the Riddler. I've been saying this for years. He's one of those actors who is so good at everything he does. I mean, he can play silly. He can play nerd. He can play sociopathic killer. He can play super serious. He can play sad. He can play outcast. Like, he has got a range that you couldn't, that like most actors wish they had. And I implore you, if you don't know what I'm talking about, look into his work. He is scary good. Scary good. I'm excited to see more of what they do with the Commissioner and the Penguin. That looks like it's going to be fun. That looks like it's going to come straight from like the Arkham games. That version of Penguin. Oh no, it looks good, and I'm still excited to see it. I definitely feel it's like on a scale of 1 to 10. The first trailer, that was a 9 to 9 out of 5 out of 10 for me. The only way that could have been a 10 was if they had added like 1 or 2 scenes where they actually see maybe Batman face to face with the Riddler. And even if it will just be on screen for a second or two, like just having that face-off feel, I felt that was so Mortal Kombat-esque. I would have loved that. But this one, it broadened it out more. It's not the statement grabber. It's more like, no, this is the scene of what's going on, and this is the stage we're going to be on. You know now, get ready, we're taking you for a ride. Numerous articles from people who have been talking about, like, this is not going to be like any Batman movie you have ever seen. This is going to be the darkest iteration of it that we have ever seen, and I cannot wait. So, for anyone who has seen the movie, let me know what you think. I would put this probably like an 8, a 7.5 or 8, just because it doesn't have that initial shock value. But to be fair, it's really hard to deliver after the first major trailer. But again, I don't think that was the design of this. It was supposed to just set the stage. The first one was like that was the sucker punch that's supposed to, like, oh, okay, so this is what's going on. It's Batman. There's the bat. Oh, the bad guy's a little bit of a killer. We're not looking at this in a comic book light either. This is some serious stuff. So I can't wait. Let me know if you've seen it, what you think. That's going to do it for this one. Guys, until next time, you take care.